Hundreds of protesters took to the street to stomp out discrimination. Good evening, I'm Simone Corbett.
And I'm Soma Lambert. Hundreds of local residents and students filled the streets Monday night during the Not in Our Kitco Peace March.
Amanda Esquivel is in studio to tell us how members of the community came out to remind Ellensburg that hate is not accepted in their county.
Thanks, Soma and Simone. The Not in Our Kitco organized a few weeks ago after KKK flyers were found scattered around Ellensburg. In wake of the presidential election and hateful things being said across the nation, protest organizers decided to peacefully march against hatred.
Hate, don't discriminate.
Loud chants and cheers were heard from blocks away as Ellensburg community members marched through downtown to take a stand against racism. According to Central's website, around 1,000 people participated in the march.
I'm glad with the amount of support from our community plus the university, and I think the students did an amazing job putting this together.
Police officers were also amongst the crowd as they directed traffic so marchers could get through town safely. For some, this was something that they were excited to be a part of.
Everyone needs a reminder that our campus is a safe space, so I'm just out here trying to reach out to those who maybe feel scared right now that we're a safe space.
But for others, this hit a lot closer to home.
People are going through the struggle, bullying, harassment, racism, and I feel like I care about that really much because all the time at school I'm either bullied, harassed.
Besides marching, community members were also encouraged to sign a petition against hate crime in Kittitas County. Not in Our Kitco hopes this is the beginning of what people feel is a more accepting community.
We just want to make sure that people feel safe because we believe that by and large our community is a loving community.
Later this month, CWU will host a public forum to discuss the fight against racism. Back to you, Soma.
Thanks, Amanda. Organizers of this group are working on making Kittitas County a part of the national campaign, Not in Our Town.
You know, I'm really looking forward, Soma, to seeing how this protest makes a lasting impact in our community.
You're absolutely right, Simone. With the state that our country's in, it's nice to see our community taking a step forward.
Definitely. Coming up next on Central News Watch. Former CWU basketball player Joey Ropo has started making the transition from player to coach.
And have you seen the snowy tree in the cirque? We find out the tree's purpose next.
To find a forest near you.
From stocking stuffers to individual gifts, the CLCE's Giving Tree event offers 100 more gift opportunities than last year.
Mandy Ringenberg stopped by the tree to find out how you can help make someone's holiday this season.
The 19th annual Giving Tree is filled up with over 500 tags of present ideas for kids and teens in the community.
Be affordable for everyone and also like give.
From warm winter clothes to gift cards and toys, the Giving Tree allows 5 to 15-year-olds the chance to get exactly what they want this Christmas.
This year, someone bought one of the kids a bike, actually. Yeah, and that came in super early, and it was super awesome to see that someone went to that extreme to help out a child, because bikes aren't cheap.
If it's not in your budget to buy a complete gift, but you still want to give back, stocking stuffers will probably be a better option.
Fill this with holiday cheer, stuffed with fun items, art supplies, games, hats, gloves, or pieces of candy.
Now, after reading that, could you fill out something like that? Would you want to donate those kind of things?
The CLC is hoping to give out 200 of these bags by December 1st. Now, you can fill out to give out presents to a girl or to a boy. I've actually already filled out one of these bags, so hopefully with just this one bag, the number 32, that I can make a little bit of a difference this Christmas season. Even toys as simple as these from the dollar store could fill these bags and make someone's Christmas wish.
I'm definitely looking forward to like that moment where we have all the gifts and all the tags are returned, and we have like all the vans filled and we're taking off, because then like we know that we're going to deliver that holiday cheer that those kids really need this year.
In the cirque, Mandy Ringenberg, Central News Watch.
Next month, the CLCE is also putting on their annual holiday extravaganza. And there's already a wait list for volunteer positions, so if this is something you want to help out with, you better sign up as soon as you can.
There's that old song, Over the River and Through the Woods. While many Kittitas residents will be doing just that Thanksgiving weekend, Jeff Crum is one of those people headed over the pass this holiday weekend. Jeff, what can viewers expect to drive through on their way home for turkey dinner?
We took a look at the forecast, and it depends when you plan to drive over. While passes are bare and wet today, there's snow in the forecast. Friday night, the forecast for Snoqualmie Pass calls for a skiff of snow, maybe up to a 1/4 inch. The rest of the weekend calls for a mixture of rain and snow, with the snow level ranging from 300 feet to 4,000 feet. For those of you heading over White Pass, the forecast is pretty much the same, but those snow levels will be around 400 feet. If you're headed over to south over Sadis Pass, the forecast is a bit nicer. Just looks like a chance of rain over the weekend. Of course, long-range forecasts aren't always accurate. That's why it's always a good idea to check the road conditions before you get behind the wheel.
Thanks, Jeff. We've made it easy for you to get the latest forecast. Just go to our Facebook page at Central News Watch, and you'll find the link to the past reports.
Carlos Andres Gomez, a spoken word poet, will be here to perform this week. Gomez is a world-renowned poet for his poetry. In 2016, he received the Best Diversity Artist Award by Campus Activities magazine and Artist of the Year in 2009. His work ranges from female empowerment and genocide to more humorous topics such as pet peeves. Gomez has made many stage appearances on TED Talks, TV One's Verse and Flow, and even the film Inside Man. According to Imani Wamora of Slam Africa, Kenya, Carlos Andres Gomez is one of the most compelling voices of our generation. She says he captivates his listener with a profound use of cadence and imagery, raw, entertaining, and empowering. You can catch the empowering poet on this stage this Friday at the Cirque at 7 p.m. In addition, Armando Ortiz, ASCWU president, will be opening for Gomez. You know, I'm really excited to see Armando. I know he's a great spoken word poet.
You're absolutely right. If you know Armando, he's a one-of-a-kind person. I can't wait for this event.
He definitely is. Central Washington men's basketball has an opportunity to take on WSU.
I am your dividend.
Central Washington men's basketball had an opportunity to take on WSU.
Jake Nelson is in studio with updates on Kittitas Valley sports. Jake?
It was a hard-fought battle between the Cats and Kennewick, Washington on Tuesday evening. The Wildcats fell short to Washington State University 81-76. Leading scorer for Central was Dom Hunter with 26 points, and Fuquan Niles had his first double-double as a Wildcat. Central heads to Seattle this weekend to take on Dixie State and Minnesota State University Mankato. Tip-off is at 2. The Central men's basketball team has a new member of their coaching staff, but Soma Lambert tells us he's not new to the Wildcats.
Switching from a jersey to a suit and tie wasn't the easiest adjustment for former CW basketball player Joey Ropo. Joey spent 4 years playing for head coach Greg Sparling. This summer, Sparling hired him to be a part of his coaching staff for the Wildcats' 2016 season.
For sure, it was an adjustment. The first game was really, really tough because it kind of hit me that I was done playing, you know. So, and I've just been doing it my whole life. But coaching has been really, really fun so far. I've been really, excited to learn, from our coaches about the X's and O's and just all the different things that go into coaching. There's a lot more that goes into it than I thought.
Ropo has a tremendous basketball IQ that comes from years of playing against top-level competition. With his knowledge and experience of the game, Joey wants to help some of these young players reach their full potential. In his newfound job, Joey refers to himself as a player's coach, meaning he advocates the players' point of views in coaches' meetings, team practices, and off-the-court issues.
I'm kind of the middleman, so I'm in all the coaches' meetings, and I'm still really good friends with all the players, so I hear, I talk to them a lot about what's going on with practice, things of what I see and what, I think they need to work on and things like that. So I think I can have a huge impact just because of having that player's perspective as a coach, you know.
Joey was one of 5 seniors to graduate last year, prompting the coaching staff to find out the identity for this year's team. After 3 exhibition games, Central has used a plethora of different lineups that have showcased their athleticism, size, and depth. Conference play starts December 1st for the Wildcats. They will open their season with a matchup against the visiting Alaska Anchorage Seawolves. From the CW basketball courts, Soma Lambert, Central News Watch.
Joey gave this school 4 memorable years on the court, and we're excited to see what he can do as a coach. The Central women's basketball team will be led this season by point guard Jasmine Edwards. I went to practice to see how this Wildcat is leading by example on the court. Leading by example comes natural for Central women's basketball player Jasmine Edwards. The junior point guard from Linwood High School averaged over 11 points a game last season for the Wildcats and feels confident for this season.
Coming in freshman year and even last year, it was still like so new, a different level of basketball that I wasn't used to. So now that I'm an upperclassman, I do feel a little bit more confident.
Even with only 1 senior on the roster, Edwards feels that the team does not lack leadership this season.
We have so much leadership on the team, even though we're young and a little bit unexperienced, but together as a team, we have a lot of leadership.
What stands out for head coach Jeff Harada is the way Edwards is willing to do whatever it takes to help the team.
She's just a warrior, she leads by example. I call her Mighty Mouse. She doesn't really, enjoy that nickname, but she's willing to do whatever it takes, despite her size, to get the job done.
Whether it is on the court or off the court, Edwards gives 100% all the time.
She goes out there and lays it on the line every single day, whether it's preseason conditioning, practice, in the weight room. And I think, when your best player is your hardest worker, the rest of the team will follow suit.
Edwards and the Wildcats are in Hawaii and will take on BYU Hawaii tomorrow evening. The Kittitas High School football team played their first playoff game in 4 years last Friday night. Unfortunately, the Coyotes' season came to an end with a loss to Liberty by a score of 44-6. Kittitas finished the 2016 season 8-2 overall and improved greatly after last season's 1-8 overall record. With football season over, up next for Kittitas Athletics is basketball season. The boys varsity team kicks off the season with the first game set for December 2nd. For the 4th straight season, Ellensburg High School is playing playoff football. After losing their first game of the season, the Bulldogs have won 10 straight games, running to their 4th consecutive league championship. Ellensburg ran for 280 yards on Saturday in their 38-6 win against Eatonville in the first round. Senior running back Mason Sherwood led the team with 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Bryce Helgeson added 57 yards and a touchdown on the ground. The Bulldogs travel to the 2014 state champs Cedro Woolley for the quarterfinals matchup. The two teams were ranked 6 and 7 in the final state rankings released this year. The Cedro Woolley Cubs have been mainstays in the state playoffs, making the trip the last 4 seasons also. The two teams haven't faced off in the tournament during those 4 years. That's it for this week's sports coverage. You can follow us on Twitter at sports_CNW. Simone and Soma, back to you.
Thanks, Jake. I am just looking forward to these winter sports. How are you feeling about them?
I'm trying to control my excitement. If you know me, I'm a big basketball guy, and with these two teams, we're looking to have a pretty nice season of fall sports for Central.
Oh, yeah. Coming up next on Central News Watch.
Andre Dickerson will be with us next to discuss his journey to becoming the new director of student involvement.
Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
A Central Washington University alumni whose journey to CW is more than just inspirational is coming back to his alma mater to take the reins of director of student involvement. Dickerson will oversee departments like ACWU, campus activities, and KCW Ellensburg. Thank you, Mr. Dickerson, for coming on today.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You grew up in the low-income part of LA. How did that affect your childhood?
Well, growing up in poverty and kind of growing up in the area, there tends to be few resources available for many young people growing up. And unfortunately, it's pretty drug infested and heavily, there's a lot of gang violence that takes place in the area. So it was rough. It was pretty tough, and with having a lack of resources, there are certain activities like school enrichment programs, like field trips and things like that, weren't able to actually participate in. But one of the biggest things is the love within the home allowed for us to stay strong and see through those tough times.
So, growing up in those tough and kind of tough conditions, do you use some of that experience to motivate you today still, even years behind?
Yeah, definitely. I was talking with my mom and a really close friend of mine recently. I've had the opportunity to finish undergrad, of course, being at CWU, and pursue my first graduate degree. I'm working on my second now, a master's in business. And the thing that gets me through was the resiliency that I developed going through those struggling times, of knowing that when things are tough, the most important thing is just to continue to work hard, stay focused, and recognize that regardless of your upbringing or where you're beginning in your journey, if you just grind and stay focused and stay positive, we'll be able to accomplish whatever it is we want to do.
So at age 14, you actually moved up to Washington and lived with your grandmother. How did that just change your focal point from kind of the dark times in LA and moving to a new place? And at age 14, that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, it was right around that time, but 14 or 15, 16. And the most important thing was I need to graduate high school. And so I had actually dropped out of high school for 2 years. So I think it was around that time, dropped out. And about 16 is when I officially got a chance to come up. And the biggest thing was, no matter how arduous the task was, I had a goal in mind of, I need to graduate high school. I need to make sure that I accomplish that. And I figured at that moment, let's just, whatever it took. And the biggest thing for me was I had an opportunity. I had an open door.
So how did you find your way to Central? Was it your first choice? Was always wanted to come to Ellensburg, be a Wildcat?
Well, you know, I actually got denied from Central the first time I applied. And at that point, really, Central was the school that took a chance on me. They said, hey, we want to give you an opportunity. Let's get you in and see what you can do, and we'll support you. And so really, it was a blessing of me just getting admitted to me able to come in and have an opportunity to work hard and make things happen.
So there's still a lot of students in your situation. What do you say to them to motivate them? Or if you see a student that's struggling here on campus, do you use your backstory? Do you use that as motivation? What kind of stuff do you do there?
I do. The biggest thing is being able to communicate with the students that the most important thing is figuring out what your goals and dreams are, and then putting together a plan. And no matter what bumps in the road you run into, we work hard to accomplish them, regardless of what it is, and find great people who are willing to support you, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to come back to Central, to try to be one of those great people as best as I can to support them like I had.
So quickly, last question. You'll be overseeing a lot of new programs here on campus, like the radio station and the ACW. How are you going to use your past experience to help move those programs even more forward?
The biggest thing, thankfully, I've had some great experience in management and leadership. And pretty much with that, I will do my best to utilize a servant-based model where I'm here to serve and support the goals and whatever we have and needs.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon, for coming on today. Of course. And congratulations on your new job. You know what? Stay tuned for after the break for more stories.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Ellensburg City Council voted 6-1 Monday in favor of adapting a grocery bag fee. The ordinance will be new to Ellensburg when it takes effect on January 1st, 2018. The city of Ellensburg is saying bye-bye to bags. If you need paper or plastic bags at the store, you will have to pay 5 cents for each one. The bag fee will be added to your bill and is a part of the sales tax. Now, these days are coming to an end, but you have over a year to get your reusable bags or save up as many nickels as you can.
I don't know how I feel about this new transition to no more grocery bags, but I guess I better invest in my carry-on bag.
You know, it's going to be an adjustment, but by this time, if you don't have a reusable bag already, I mean, where have you been?
I know, I need to get with the times apparently. But that wraps up this edition of Central News Watch.
We will not be on the air next week due to Thanksgiving break, but we will be back on December 1st for our final newscast of the quarter.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook at CWU Newswatch.
From all of us here at CNW, good night.
Good night.